is Michael Edward, creator of How to Crush Your Mental Blocks in 4 Weeks, which is a course that teaches you how to identify and remove those mental blocks that's stopping you from reaching your level of success. How to persevere in the face of hardship, right? How to persevere in the face of hardship. If I can talk, we'll get along really well. All right, a friend of mine, Steve, asked me if I would do a video on this subject, and here it goes, Steve. I hope you like all of it. And I thought, you know what, this is a great subject because it's something that we need to focus on when we're going through a hardship. And a hardship can be a big event or it can be a small event. It can be an ongoing thing or it can be a short-term thing. So if you've had times where you want to get something done, you want to reach your high level of success, and I am a success coach. I mean, that's what I teach, is people how to reach a high level of success, okay? And so everything I teach is always coming back to you're reaching your high level of success, whatever that means to you, because that means something different to everybody. And I've gone through my hardships. I was born with an eye disease, retinitis pigmentosus, RP. It's much easier to pronounce. And I have the most severe version of RP, so by the age of 10, I really had no usable sight. All I could tell you is whether it's night or day, and I still have that level of vision today. And that's why I wear glasses. Actually, I'm quite light sensitive. So yes, I can see light, and yes, it hurts my eyes. And besides that, I do look cool. By about age 10, that's all I had left. And prior to that, I never had full vision. So it was gradually, declining. And it also impacted my hearing. It took over half my hearing. Now I wear quite powerful hearing aids. And, I can hear okay with the hearing aids. I hear next to nothing without them. So, I've had my hardships all along the way. And I was, when I graduated college, and that's a whole other story in and of itself, that college experience. But I did graduate, and I graduated with pretty good scores. I mean, I was proud of myself. My girlfriend and I decided to move across the country and start anew, right? We wanted to go and experience places we hadn't been before and just start fresh, And we got our feet on the ground there, and then I started looking around for work. And of course, I didn't have any money, and I was under the poverty line collecting a disability pension that kept food in our tummies and shelter, but that was about it. During that process, there was times where I didn't have $5 to put in the washer, so I was literally on my knees washing clothes in the tub. That was how I did laundry more often than once. And it was a tough time, but what I did was I went down to the disability office, and I said to them, I said, look, is there something that you can help me with to find work so I can get off of disability? And they said, well, we've got some job shops and so forth that we send people who are not on disability but on support. And I said, I love it, I want it. And I did all the stuff. All right, I went to all the job shops, and of course there was only so many jobs I could do. I can't work in a fast food restaurant and flip burgers because I can't see. And so there was my options were somewhat limited. And this is back in 1994, 1996, this story took place. And so computer technology wasn't as advanced as it is certainly today. And we certainly didn't have the handheld technology that we do today. It is easier for blind people today than it was then. It's still not easy, but it's easier. And I did all this stuff. I went to the job shops, and they talked about job shadow. I said, well, what's a job shadow? A job shadow is you approach a company and say that you have no, you're not holding them to any agreements as far as having to work for them, but you just want to experience it. And you work there for as long as they'll let you, for no pay. And I said, I can do that. I'm okay with that. So I went to a bank and I talked to the manager, and they set me up with a loans officer. They said, this is a job that you might be able to do. And they were really open to the concept of my being blind, and the loans officer that I was working with thought it was just a great experience for her. And I remember her and I, between clients, were working out what would the difficulties be. And one of them was checking the identification of the client. And I said, uh-oh, that's pretty bad. I can't do that. And they said, well, it's only like a 2-second thing. And, there's always somebody in the bank that you could just go to your door of your office and just beckon, and somebody will come over and help you out with that. And I said, okay, well, if that's not a problem for the bank, it's certainly not a problem for me. And we worked out all these different arrangements. And of course, they weren't obligated to hire me or anything like that, and they didn't. And so I moved on and took some other job shops, and I approached some banks, and I even got interviewed in the one bank, and they pretty much told me I was hired. And they said, we're going to have a follow-up appointment with you. And when I came back, they told me that the trainer didn't feel that he could train a blind guy. And I'm like, what? I went to a regular college, I busted my gut, and teachers helped me out. We worked together, and I graduated just like everybody else. I didn't get special marks. I didn't get special anything. I mean, I had special books and this and that. But I said, I can work with you. I can work with anybody. Just give me a shot. The answer came back, no. It was just no after no after no in a variety of places. One place that it was a bank related. It was a branch of the bank, but not a typical branch. It was a back office, way out in the middle of nowhere. Getting there was hell, and it was tough. She said to me, I couldn't believe she said it. She says, well, I don't think that the public is ready to deal with a disabled person yet. And I thought, wow, I mean, that's a pretty good kick. It doesn't matter my qualifications, whatever. She's just hung up on the blind thing. And I heard that indirectly and directly, many different ways from many different people. And my girlfriend and I, we were getting a little older, and it was getting on time to having a child. So we decided, okay, yeah, and we did have a child. And meanwhile, this is like 2 years this has been going on, that I've been working really hard, jumping through every hoop that anybody would hold out in front of me to try and get a job. And along the way, I wrote a test to get into sort of a disabled bank, where I wrote the test and I got extremely high marks, if not the highest mark, one of the highest marks I ever saw. And time went by and nothing happened there. And companies could pull from this list. That was the idea, is that organizations could pull from this list if they wanted somebody with a disability or wanted to hire somebody very quickly. All the stuff was done for them, right? Sort of like an employment agency concept. And time went on, and I did this, I did that, and the baby was born. And a few months after the baby was born, I'm still busting my guts, just trying to get a foot in the door so I could prove myself. And it happened. I finally broke down. I mean, I broke down. I was crying so hard, just sitting there crying. And, my girlfriend didn't know what to do. Phoned my best friend, and my buddy Glenn is on the other end of the phone. And he's like, well, what do I say? I mean, I couldn't talk. I was broke. I was broken. And after that was a horrible day, and I got through that day, and I held my son, and I just swore to him that I will make this work. I will make this work. And I got my stuff back. I got my guts back, and I started trying again and again. And finally a phone call came through. And the phone call was hiring me from that list that I wrote a great exam for. And By the time my son, I think, was roughly 6 months old, that's when I got the job. And when I got the job, I didn't know anything about, the work. I didn't know anything about anything, even the computer. I was going from an old DOS-based system to Windows. I think it was Windows 3. Yeah, that's a while ago. And I didn't know anything about Windows. And of course, nobody there could teach me how to use the screen reading software or Windows, really, because the screen reading software changes everything about how to use the computer. Right? And I didn't know how long it normally took people to get on the phones. It was a telephone job where I was I was receiving phone calls, seeing whether or not a client had benefits and so forth. And so it was an incoming call unit. And I spent the first week just learning how to use this screen reading software called JAWS and Windows, and playing around in the program that I needed to play around in order to check benefits and so forth. So a big database type program, and make changes to the system and all that stuff, right? And then when I was comfortable with that, in a week or less than 2 weeks, I grabbed the phone and said, okay, how do I log in? What do I do now? And somebody sat down with me and showed me the rest of the stuff. Well, I found out later that nobody that they ever hired that could see ever got on the phones faster than I did. So, yeah, I was on fire. I had to prove myself. I had to prove myself for me as well as them. Right? I had to show that I had value, and that I could learn, and that I could achieve, and so on and so forth. Right? So, yeah, I've been through the hardships. I've been through all kinds of different hardships, family breakups, et cetera, but when it all boils down to it, I'm going to talk about 4 points. 2 of them are internal points, and 2 of them are what I call internal points, and 2 of them are external points. And I'll explain that in a second, but I think if you take these 4 points and you apply them to your life, you're going to be able to make it through all the hardships and still make progress all at the same time. All right? And so let's just dive right in. In point number 1 is have a dream. Right? Martin Luther King Jr., he didn't say, I want a dream. He said, I have a dream. Right? Read that speech. Look that up. Martin Luther King Jr., I have a speech. Look, it's a beautiful speech. Very powerful. And Dolly Parton wrote a little, I believe she called it a cute little book, but she wrote a little book called Dream More, Celebrate the Dreamer in You by Dolly Parton. So the title of the book is Dream More by Dolly Parton. And it's a cute little book, and I got the audio version, so Dolly Parton herself is reading the book. If you don't know who Dolly is, she's been in country music in the U.S. forever, and she's just a high-energy, absolutely infectious personality, as far as I'm concerned. I think she's wonderful, and I admire her and what she's done. And in that book, for example, she was talking about when she was graduating, I think it was high school, in this small country community that she grew up in the Smoky Mountains, I believe. And the teacher went around the room and asked them all the same thing. What are you going to do next? What is your dream? What is your goal? And Dolly said, I want to go to Nashville. Well, her classmates all laughed. They laughed. And she couldn't understand that. It hurt her, and she just could not understand it. Why would they laugh? It's what I want to do. And of course she did it, which is, in and of itself remarkable, but she just couldn't understand it. But she had a dream, and she succeeded in that dream. And oh my gosh, I forget how old she is now, in her 80s or something, and she just did a tour, last year. And she's probably still touring today, I don't know, but just remarkable. Friends of mine saw her, said she was still high energy, and she was still a great singer and performer. Anyway, that was Dolly, and a great little book. You should read that one. and here's something that you can remember, all right? To dream is to succeed. Write that down. To dream is to succeed. And look at that statement often and understand that you have to have a dream if you want to succeed. Because without a dream, you are nothing more than a bubble floating around, and you will most likely only reach mediocrity at best. All right? So if you want to reach a dream, well, you have to have a dream. If you want to reach a high level of success, you have to know what that means, right? And when you look at my story that I just talked about, my dream was very small at that time, but vital to me. I wanted a job. That's all. That's it. That was my dream. Most people could go out and get a job, just like that. Not me. I had to go through 2 years of hell to get a job. And when I did, I soared, of course. And my career moved up faster than anybody else I ever knew. Because I was reaching that dream. I reached that dream, and I was going to work it for all it was worth. And I did, and I enjoyed it, parts of it. Anyway, you have to have a dream, all right? So I'm asking you right now, do you have a dream? If not, get one. Get a dream, all right? You got to have a dream. The next internal point is number 2, which is build necessity, all right? And build necessity is to get a burning fire in your guts for that dream. Now, how do we do that? Well, in my story, what was my big burning desire was to build a better life for my son, right? I had him in my corner, right? I felt it in my gut, in my head, in my chest. I'm going to do the best that I can for my baby boy, right? My baby boy now in his 20s, and his brother's is right along behind him, almost in his 20s. And I still do stuff for my boys, right? I work hard for my boys, to be a role model, to teach them, and to be able to help them, do the dad stuff financially, whatever, right? I still work for my sons. That'll never change, right? I love them. And you have to have somebody to fight for, all right? And think about it in terms of, I have a need to succeed, all right? Write that one down. I have a need to succeed. And that need is what? Is it who? Is it a what? Right? I like the who's, because who's are tangible. I can remember that easily. I'm working for my sons, right? Now, do you have somebody in your life right now that you can work for, right? You need to think about that. Who, and you really almost shouldn't need to think about it. It should be right there. It's for me, it's automatic. It was easy, my sons. And if you don't have children or whatever, it could be your spouse, it could be a parent, it could be a best friend, it could be to show your mentor, right? If you have a mentor, to show your mentor that, yeah, you paid attention, yeah, you're doing what he taught you, And I've had clients that came back to me and said, hey, I want to thank you, and I also want to tell you what I did with what you taught me. I mean, that's a great honor for any mentor, right? That's just beautiful. We love that stuff. So you need to get that burning desire in your gut, all right? Somebody you can fight for. And no, I don't like using the word fight, but hey, everybody else is, it's a word we all understand. So, but somebody that you can work for, if you don't like the word fight, who can you work for? Really get that burning desire, get the burning gut feeling that you're going to do this, all right? You have to have that. Now, those two are the internal things. And I think it's pretty clear when you relate it back to in the face of hardship, it helps push you through, irregardless to the kind of hardship that you're going through. You will make it through the hard times and get to the better times, right? All right? I hope that makes sense. And number 3, now we're into more of the external stuff, more of the tasks that you need to do. And Number 3 is use the calendar. All right. If you went and looked at your calendar today, is it full or is it blank? And if it's blank, you've got a problem, because what goes on your calendar is real, right? Nothing is real until you schedule it, right? It's like when you're going to go and take a vacation, what do? You book the tickets. You got the tickets, man, that's a calendar right there. And you're going to put it on your calendar too, right? Oh, yeah. You're going to put it on your work calendar. You're going to put it everywhere and say, I'm not going to be here during this time. It is now real. Well, you have to do that with all things in your life. You have to take it and write it down and say that between this time and this time, I'm going to do this. All right? You got to schedule your success. You got to put it on the calendar. Okay? And if you're looking at your calendar and you tell me, oh, my calendar is full, but is it full of anything that's going to lead you to success? If you got kids, man, you're running them all over creation. You know, hockey game here, a soccer game there, and dance lesson here, and swimming lesson there, and you're going nuts. But where's the you time in there? Where's the you time? Where's the time where you're going to work on your level of success? All right? You got to have your calendar filled up with stuff. All right? So write that one down. Is if it's not on the calendar, it's not real. All right? And so obviously the first thing you got to do is to take a look at your calendar. I don't care what you use for a calendar. You can use the old day timer on your desk. You can use the old paper one on the wall. You can use the calendar on your phone. I use those, the Google Assistant thing that sits on my desk, and I say, set up an appointment for such and such. And they says what day and what time, and I tell it what day, what time, and they repeat it back to me, and I say, they say, you want me to schedule that? I say, yeah. And that also then goes on to my phone. All right? So my phone reminds me, and I know that I've got an appointment coming up. And first thing in the morning, first thing I do is I say, hey, Google, what's, oh, phew, good. I thought that was going to set it off. I say, what's good morning, and it tells me my first appointment and so forth. So you have to use a calendar, and you have to use it wisely, and you have to put in your data, not just all the kids' information, but book in some you time in there as well. Number 4, again, it's external because it's a physical act, and it is write in a journal. All right, keep a diary, write in a journal. And there's a lot of reasons for this. People will tell you that you need to keep a journal, but they don't really tell you the why. I'm going to tell you the why. See, when you have a journal, what it does is it keeps your memory honest. All right? So if you kept a daily journal, terrific. But you definitely want to have a weekly, and pick a day of the week, put that on your calendar and say between this time and this time, every Sunday, whatever day, Tuesday, whatever, I'm going to write in my weekly journal. And that weekly journal, your first thing you do is you look back at last week. And on that last week, it should tell you what you were supposed to do this week. And you review that, and you say, yep, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. And you take a moment and celebrate your successes. All right? It's vital to celebrate your successes. So celebrate when you get them, too. You know? And when I record a video, I'm like, yeah, video done. You know? So I do that little celebration thing. And I never used to do that, by the way. All I ever did was I looked forward to the next thing. You know, I didn't take a moment to say, you know what, I'm doing okay here. I just did something that a year ago I couldn't do, and now I'm doing it, you know. So you got to celebrate your successes. That's one thing. The other thing is it checks your memory and says, well, you know what, I look back last week, and I look back the week before, and I look back the week before, and frankly, I didn't do a damn thing to reach my level of success. Then you're not going to reach your level of success. All right? It's easy to let time slip by and make excuses in your head, but on paper, you can look back and see and say, you know what, I should have spent more time doing this. Okay, next week, here are the things that I'm going to do in order to reach that dream. All right? And so, you know, again, you can write this on the computer. You can open up a document in Word or Notepad or anywhere, Google Docs, whatever you use today, and whatever you have access to, or better yet, just grab a binder, clear, binder with lined paper, nothing fancy. Grab yourself a pen, old-fashioned way. Sit down and write stuff, and you can just write down the time, the date. Right? Always start with the time and date, and because when you look back, you can see what kind of, are you even keeping track of your journal, okay, or your diary. And as always, you want to look back, you want to look forward. So you want to write what you did the last week. You want to check to see what you did and didn't do and put it on your list for next week to do. Now, the daily journal is more of a journal for things like what you did that day and celebrations. And today I helped a client. I went above and beyond the call to do this for the client. And write about the experience and write how it made you feel. Okay? Always strive for excellence in everything that you do. So even if you have a job that you think is mundane, you're still, if you're serving a client, which almost every job you are, indirectly or directly, serve that client with excellence. Right? I try to do that with you. I try to make video with excellence. I try to give you great information. Right? I'm always striving to improve myself so that I can serve with excellence. That's what you need to do as well. All right? And that's where your daily journal kind of comes in. As you write down every day the little successes that you had, what you want to do tomorrow, so you can do it like a mini version of the weekly one. And the weekly one, by the way, it does not have to take more than 10-20 minutes tops. It does not have to take long at all. The first couple of entries may take a while, but once you get in the swing of things, you'll see what I mean. You're just writing down, sort of bullet points in that weekly one, and carry forwards and successes. All right. In the daily one, again, it can be very short. Just tell a little story about today, and write down what you want to do for tomorrow. All right. And then calendar, right? Put it on the calendar as always. Always, always, always calendar. So, again, write this down. Is the written word does not mess up your memory. All right. The written word keeps your memory on track, because it's really easy to forget stuff. It's really easy to look back and say, wow, has it really been 3 months since I read a book? And I need to read more books so I can teach more information on this subject, And that those are the 4 points. So how do you tie this all in to busting through when you're trying to persevere in the face of hardship? Well, all of these things help keep you on track. And when you're in the face of hardship, and we all get there, right? We all get to what I call Shipwreck Island, all right? This is where you get washed up on the island by the rapids of, surprise. Things happen. Life events happen. Life likes to get in our way. There's just no way around it. Sooner or later, life is going to get into your way. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to remember your dream. Do you have a dream? If not, get one. Get one. Got to have a dream. You remember your dream. And then what? And then you think about, who are you fighting for? Right? And why? Why are you fighting for that person? You want to make a better life for them, or whatever it might be for you. Right? And now how do I do that? Well, I start using my calendar in order that I can grow and learn and develop my skills, whatever that might be. Now, how do I do that? Well, you know what? You got to use the journal. If you use the journal, that helps keep you on track to keep you honest. All right? So when you take those 4 things, you see how it's all tying together here? When you take those 4 things and you apply them, then you really have no choice but to persevere in the face of hardship. Yes, process might slow down for a while. That's fine, as long as it doesn't halt, as long as it doesn't stop. Yeah? It's okay for things to slow down while you're trying to figure out crap because something happened to throw you off your game. All right? Some big event happened or a bunch of little events happened and threw you off your game. It's okay. That's life. But don't stay there for long. All right? I like to say when you're on Shipwreck Island, it's an okay place to visit, but you don't want to live there. All right? And Shipwreck Island, by the way, is that's a metaphor that I use in my high-end coaching course. And I use islands as metaphors to help get you, keep you on track and recognize where you are right now. What island are you on right now? What island do you want to be on right now? What island do you have to visit right now? Okay, but anyway, that's what that's all about, the Shipwreck Island thing. And nice place to visit. Well, really it's not a nice place to visit, but a necessary place to visit because life throws us curveballs, but you don't want to stay there for too long, okay? So, I raise a hand to your success. I cheer you on, right? I want you to go out there every day and enjoy, love as much as you can, and succeed.